Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Act 3. We're so glad that you joined us. Hey, right now is the time that you want to be outside enjoying Vancouver Island's beautiful weather, and throughout our province, watch the sunshine come out and let's get outside and enjoy it. But since you're here in front of your television, we're really glad that you're watching this episode because we've got a few fabulous things to show you. The first thing I want to share with you is Raven Tales. Raven Tales with Dan Elliott is going to share some great information about cultural connectedness, and we can't wait to share that part with you. And also on today's episode, Jon and I are going to be on the boat, and it's a fabulous boat built to help people that are physically challenged. Listen, we're glad that you joined us. Don't forget to grab yourself a beverage and enjoy the show.
I'm sitting on the edge of love and happiness. Yeah. Never experienced such a moment as this. So if you got that good feeling in your body and you want to bring this moment to life, come with me, we'll hit the town. Let's go right now and live the life. I just want to shine like the sky up like a sunset, living with no regrets. I just want to shine.
Nano Ait Squale, Ait Sepka CM. Thank you, Sinemo people. We're cuddled in a nice little spot here on wonderful Vancouver Island on the unceded territory of the Sinemo people, and we love this spot here. My kids spent their childhood being raised here. Honored to be here today, and we're grateful that we can come in a good way. We say hi, Sepka CM. I'm really excited and honored to have my friend Kim Trottier here today, of culturally committed and a dental therapist and a champion for what's right in this world. And I'm so happy to have you here today to speak. And we're going to talk a little bit about my red shirt. and the red shirt. I mean, there's been so many different things happening out there, but I've noticed, you know, the red shirt is such an important part about how our country needs to look at indigenous women, you know, missing and murdered indigenous women and girls. Mm-hmm. And I think, you know, our hearts go out and all those things, but we need to change some big things mm-hmm. around how we see that. And I feel it. I feel like there is a change. I have addressed it in some things that I've done as an artist, but I don't know if you want to say anything about the Red Dress campaign that happened early in May there. Yeah,
well, the Red Dress Project, for people who don't know, it was inspired by an art installation by a Métis artist named Jamie Black. And so the red dresses are in response to the many missing and murdered Indigenous women across, you know, Turtle Island. And each red dress hanging is supposed to signify a life that is no longer there. And so I have noticed throughout the spring and even into the winter that there was all these red dresses that have been popping up along Vancouver Island, and it really made me feel, I wouldn't say happy, but I appreciated the acknowledgement for the First Nations people that live in this territory, or for whose territory I'm residing in. Mm-hmm. And so, mm-hmm. And so there was actually an incident that happened in Ladysmith this year where there was a video taken of two gentlemen out for a run who were removing the red dresses from the trees. And when this video came to light, my heart broke for the people that were impacted, because I know that those red dresses were hung with specific individuals in mind. And so when I saw this happening, I just thought, you know, what is going on out there? And when I started reading the comments on Facebook posts, I soon began to realize that a lot of people didn't even know what the red dresses represented. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of wanted to use this platform that I've created with Culturally Committed as an opportunity to, number one, I didn't want to draw attention to the negativity of what those two men did, mm-hmm. but rather shift the conversation into one of learning and encouraging other non-Indigenous allies to really stand up and demonstrate their support and solidarity for First Nations people. And so that's really what I tried to do through this work was, you know, through social media, asking non-Indigenous people to hang red dresses. And that was advice that came forward from one of our culturally committed mentors, Kim Good from Snuneymuxw First Nation. When we were asking her, our community was asking, how do we do this work? She said, you know, like, please hang a red dress. Yeah. Like, she said it would mean so much to her. It would show her that we heard her, we were listening, and we were responding. And so the outcome of that conversation really, it just blew my mind when I was traveling up and down the island and just saw hundreds of red dresses hanging. It really warmed my heart.
We've talked at work before about, you know, there's things we've connected, but I remember listening down the hall and hearing lots of laughter coming out of the dental office, and usually that's like, oh my God, you know, a lot of fear around that. But there's something that was speaking to you around that connection to working with Indigenous people specifically, because that's your role, a dental therapist and working in our communities, that something began to happen with how you were addressing these patients, and so you wanted to share that. And so culturally committed, I'm excited because I've been a part of that, and maybe you could say a few words about culturally committed, how it kind of started for you.
Sure, yeah. So I have been a service provider delivering oral health services to First Nations communities for the past 7 years now. And it has been just the biggest honor of my life to do this work and to connect with people. And I noticed early on that I was poorly equipped to know how to engage with my patients in a way that was safe for them. You know, I'm a wholehearted person. I always bring my heart to my practice, and I really care about the people that I work with. But I just was ignorant, and I didn't really understand the traumas that had impacted the communities, the experiences they had, and how those experiences were causing a lot of pain for them when they were accessing services. And I'm so fortunate in the communities that I work to be assigned a community member to be my person that kind of helps me navigate. And early in this work, I remember an encounter I had with a patient where I had just started learning about the culture of the Coast Salish, and I was learning a lot about the longhouse and ceremony. And on this particular day, a gentleman came in and I'd asked him if he was doing work in the longhouse. And on that day, the elder that was working with me just outright said, "You can't say that. You can't ask those questions. It's not appropriate." And that was the first time that I really realized that I had a lot of learning to do. And I appreciated that feedback so much because it helped me realize things that I should and shouldn't be doing. And so that was kind of the inspiration that led me to this work of perhaps creating a place where other service providers can learn about things that they could be saying or doing to create safe spaces for their Indigenous clients.
I know how you are with our staff, and I know that must have been kind of a real kicker for you in your heart. And I think that probably is felt across the country. People are afraid to do something offensive, so they would rather not say anything. So culturally committed has been something that, yes, you've developed it and it's your idea, and you do tons of work around all the, you know, how the Facebook page is constructed and the website. And but you have some other people around that help you and assist you around that. Can you say a bit about your mentors a little bit?
Yeah, of course. So I could never do this work without guidance from some of the people that have taught me. And so when I was developing the framework of what culturally committed looked like, I knew that there needed to be people that acted as mentors and guides. And so there has been 4 Indigenous mentors that have stepped forward. Of course, you. I'm so grateful to have you by my side. And then 3 other incredible people that have just been instrumental in my growth and development and helping me better understand things that I say and do. So these 4 people all come together and help participate in the Facebook group when there's questions coming forward, discussion, also in our community calls. So that's a time when our community can come together and our members can ask questions around things that they're wanting to better understand. So it's really opened up a safe place for questions to come forward, and we can explore subject matter in a way that is safe and completely sincere, and I just think it creates a beautiful atmosphere.
You know, so I see so many people, they're concerned and they have concerns, and I see so much outpouring of, and sometimes the help is not helpful, you know, and it's hard. So what is cultural safety? What is cultural safety in this time? And you know, we had such an amazing Wednesday session last week. It was very powerful. A lot of our people that have joined are your, you know, culturally committed, and I say mine because I'm a part of that.
It's yours too.
You know, and I was just like, I could hear the fear around what should we do, and I feel over anxious, and all that stuff was happening, and then I noticed that after our session, there was a big weight lifted, and you know, so I think there was some addressing of cultural safety that happened that was like over the top, really, because some of these mentors and were just amazing how we interacted. You know, we had a brand new person that joined us from Mill Bay on the island here, and she says, I couldn't believe that in such a small, it's my first time joining the group, and I'm crying, and I felt so connected like I've never felt in a Zoom group before. So I thought, wow, how powerful is that? So cultural safety, it's a very big thing, and we actually talked about it in some of our sessions. You want to maybe say a little bit about what you kind of wrote down, because you've been crafting all these jewels and wisdom.
Yeah, so cultural safety, the working definition that we've developed is essentially that cultural safety is a perspective that's experienced by the individual accessing services. And so I think there's a lot of talk right now with health regulators in the province wanting to prioritize cultural safety, but we can't say that we are culturally safe as providers. I can't say that I'm a culturally safe provider, because it is a journey of understanding and humility to start leaning into unlearning and recognizing our biases. But cultural safety really is a perspective that is experienced by the individual accessing services. So if that person comes to see me and they feel safe and they feel comfortable, then the services that I'm delivering are culturally safe. If I'm doing things that triggers them or makes them anxious, then those services are no longer culturally safe. So that's kind of the definition that we work with culturally committed. Some of the things that people might not consider when they're trying to provide services that are culturally safe, some of the perspectives they might want to think about is little things. For example, what do your intake forms look like? Are they very complicated? Because for an individual, for example, that attended residential school that may have literacy challenges, it can be overwhelming to be asked to fill out documents if you can't read. One of the other things that I learned from you was just talking about where we're positioning clients when they're sitting in a waiting room. For somebody that's very fearful and has experienced trauma in a medical setting, providing a place where they feel like they're not trapped. Asking clients, would you like the door opened or closed? Letting them create the atmosphere that is going to best support their feelings of safety.
You know, and that's been, I think, a huge step forward. And you know, I was hurt. I mean, I was triggered on a week ago yesterday, Friday, when I heard a CBC radio. I listened to that on my way to work. It's about a 30-minute drive for me, and just how some of the words came out. And even though I worked in a prison with men who've been through residential school and the children in the school system, I was deeply moved to the point where I said I cried with my sunglasses on and my mouth open for about 20 minutes, and I was just trying to drive through traffic so that people wouldn't go, oh, what's that guy's problem? You know, I was thinking about silly, but I mean, I was like, holy man, I'm a counselor. I've been through this for a long time, and that's a lot of what happened with our people. And so people just need to kind of know that they're supportive, and that I don't have to have a fix-it hat on and try and fix something that you're having a bad feeling around. I just need to be there for you. And I think that's kind of coming out. And I've said it before that I feel a big change in our country. I feel like Canadians are kind of really getting what needs to happen and what happened. And I feel a sense of movement that I haven't felt when I first started 20 years ago in this field. So I'm honored to be such a part of Culturally Committed, and I think that it's just going to grow. And I thank you for your work, Kim. You know, I hear stories like you spent some time with a person that was through residential school, and all of a sudden they felt comfortable for them to have the work done. And that was just being open and present to being committed to that person's safety. And so I thank you for putting this together and doing all the work, and I'm still honored, and I'm there for this Culturally Committed as an artist, as a First Nation. Haiskat to Siam. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hi, welcome to Wellness Minute. I am here today with Tammy Paton, who is the Executive Director of Lifeline. And you may know Lifeline as help at the push of a button, but it's so much more now, Tammy. Welcome. Nice to have you here.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Tell us about this new technology.
Well, that's right. So prior to GoSafe, the buttons were limited to in and around the home, but now with the GoSafe button, it was designed with the active senior in mind to let them go out and go for walks and bike rides.
Hikes,
Hikes,
forest bathing, all that stuff, right?
All that stuff.
And it works across Canada?
That's right, anywhere where we have cellular reception.
And you were saying earlier that it has two-way communication. So what happens if I push the button if I need help?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So when you push the button because you need help, our response center will be talking to you over the button. And you can talk directly into the button because there's both a microphone and a speaker built into this button. This button is 100% waterproof too, so it is designed to be worn in the shower.
In the shower, yeah, that's perfect.
Right.
And if you fall?
It has automatic fall detection.
You don't have to push anything.
You don't have to push anything. It is a good idea to press the button whenever you need help, but if you had a hard fall and couldn't get to the button, it'll automatically place the call for help for you.
Well, that's fabulous. And it looks so stylish. Here's another one, and I'm just going to show you here. It comes with a really great charger, a long charger cord. You can wear it and charge at the same time. So if you're in a hotel room, etc., you're never without it. It just comes off, and it's so stylish when I put it on. And when I'm out and about, nobody knows that I'm wearing it.
We're used to having technology.
Oh yeah, iPods or all these other fancy technology. Exactly. Well, this is amazing. I think that this is fabulous. It just really opens up Canada and traveling and being active for seniors.
It's amazing. The technology that is packed into this button is just fantastic.
Well, Tammy, thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
It's so great to have you, and thank you for joining us here on the Wellness Minute. We'll see you again next time.
Hey everybody, today we are with Jon Pimlott, and we've got lots to talk about this fabulous boat. Come on, Jon, tell us all about it.
Well, thanks for coming down to Diver Lake today and letting me introduce you to my watercraft design passion, and yeah, glad to have you here.
Well, I'm glad that you're on the show. Thanks for joining us on Act 3. We really love to have people like you on the program for this reason. You do stuff that not regular people do. Tell us a little bit about this fantastic creation.
Yes, so the highly accessible rowing catamaran is my latest chapter in my watercraft design journeys, and yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it's how many years old, and we're having a ton of fun exploring its abilities and different end users within the community.
Well, one of the end users is someone who may be wheelchair bound or have physical impediment. this seating that you have back here is really designed for somebody who has mobility issues. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yes, quite poetically, the rowing chair is the top half of the manual wheelchair, which is pretty special for me. So basically, when I do transfer people from their manual wheelchair to their manual wheelchair to go rowing, so there's a very nice transition there for those folks that spend time in their manual wheelchair. We get to kind of put them in a very familiar seat, but they get to go rowing and fishing and have access to beautiful watercraft activities.
Absolutely. And living here right in Nanaimo on Diver Lake, I mean, it can't have it more lovely than that. We've got some terrific footage that we're going to share for sure, but I really want to share with the audience the really cool story behind how you gave this boat a name.
Yeah, so the possible name is a very fitting name. Rick Hansen, I was selected as a 25-year Rick Hansen Relay difference maker back in 2012-ish. Jeez, I'm losing time. Anyway, so I've followed the Rick Hansen movement for many years, and there was a contest for a book, and then they asked what you were most thankful for in the question. So I said I was most thankful for all the adaptive testers that helped me test my boats over the years, and I won the book. So I got the traditional Rick Hansen autograph, "Anything is possible," and that quite fitting for a boat that is making things possible.
You know, I love that whole concept of anything is possible, because anything is possible as long as we try our best and give it a little gumption. This particular boat is an old catamaran that you found for a couple $100 and you started building it.
Yeah.
Why don't you share with us some of the background behind putting this fantastic piece of equipment together?
Beautiful story. Craigslist, Nanaimo, I think, 2.5 years ago. This is an old Sea Spray 15 catamaran, fabricated at one point in Calgary. It's a Canadian catamaran. It's sitting for $200, pretty aged out, sort of pretty far gone, not much left in it other than 2 hulls and the aluminum cross members for $200 on Craigslist. I jumped all over it because I had a vision in my head and I never had a chance to grab hulls. So repurposing, reformatting, I just shrunk the width of the boat a bit, slapped on some pressure treated wood that we were building a deck at the time, so I amalgamated some of my deck purchases and hid them in the deck purchase, so the boat was actually kind of built on the slide.
What made you decide to create something so fantastic as this?
That dock 13 years ago, wheelchair accessible dock. You go walk down to the dock, being a resident of the area, and start a conversation with a quadriplegic man that was fishing, and very interactive gentleman, Sean Wells, and started the gears working. The thought process of how do we get folks with limited or different abilities onto the water. That was 10 or 11 years of tinkering with different hull designs and stuff. Rowing catamaran programs, only a couple years old. It's really fun. The test results are off the chart.
I'm curious about transference, from transferring into their boat and transferring onto, from a boat, pardon me, but transferring from their chair onto a boat. How easy is it for most people to be able to self-transfer, or do they require someone to give them a hand?
Yes, depending on the person's personal agility we'll call it, with their mobility impairment. Some will be fortunate enough to be quite independent and self-load. Others will always require some help, but with a family network and other friends within their circle, it becomes quite comfortable that they do require some assistance, but the end goal of them rowing away from the beach helps bring certain individuals that are quite independent into the activity of rowing and fishing, outdoor activity.
So when we talked a little bit about the rowing, how difficult is it for somebody to actually, if they don't necessarily have upper arm strength, do you have to have a lot of strength in order to take those oars, or does someone with just a moderate amount of strength, are they able to actually row quite easily?
Yes, with the appropriate water conditions, where there's not too much wind, when you're rowing this vessel, very casual oar strokes, it's very interesting how little energy is needed to push this craft through the water. It's just a nice big 15-foot rowboat. It corners fairly decently for being a catamaran, but it tracks really well because it is a catamaran. It's got 2 knife hulls when you're rowing, and it's a really nice, very nice row.
I'm glad you were talking about the row and the hulls being nice and light. What do you figure this thing weighs?
Yeah, I wonder if it's, know if it's 200 pounds-ish, maybe. It's somewhere around there. It's a good question. I should weigh it sometime just for curiosity. It's a little bit on the heavy side, but for the first version,
go, it's pretty fantastic.
yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. My test row cat is not, it's a manageable weight for me being healthy, but I know I could build it much lighter if I did find the funding. Somebody that would like to help me build a much more professional version.
Yeah, I'm interested in sharing with our community. COVID doesn't need to hold us back. It doesn't need to keep us back. You know, certainly we have to be socially distant, but when we have weather like this, it's hard not to be outside on the water. What would you recommend to people that are, you know, struggling with COVID, but really maybe want to get out and enjoy nature?
Yes, exactly. Get that mindset to get out there and get after it and not let it dominate us, and find therapy in that forest walk or that water time or whatever venue you find that will bring you some balance in these very challenging times.
Yeah, I love how you word that balance. The good news about this boat is you don't need an awful lot of balance, right? These oars are pretty supportive, I'm telling you. We had a little bit of fun on the water, and we're glad that you were able to share this with all of us right across the Vancouver Island, the province, and of course in Canada. So we are so glad that you've been able to put this together. Act 3 has had another fantastic guest. We're glad you've been here, Jon. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Kathy.
Well, that does it for another episode of Act 3. Once again, we are thrilled that you joined us and look forward to bringing you more episodes as these weeks and months go by. We are still, unfortunately, in the middle of COVID, and so we do have to be super careful with everyone around us. Please make sure that you always wash your hands, that you mask up, and that you're careful to social distance wherever possible. But that doesn't mean that you can't be outside enjoying yourself. So get out and enjoy this beautiful weather for as long as we have it, and make sure to be careful around the people that you love so that we don't pass this virus on any further. Next time we have more to show you and more to bring, and we can't wait to bring the next episodes to you. In the meantime, have yourself a wonderful day, and thanks for tuning in. Oh my God, look at that. Look at that.
I'm feeling wonderful. Oh, it's as good as it gets.